Be, do, have. When most people set goals, they immediately jump to questions. What do I need to do to get the result that I want? So that makes sense. They start taking action. They sign up for a gym. They start a new diet, a new program. They commit to waking up earlier. They immediately ask, "What do I have to do?" For the first few days, maybe even weeks, motivation is high. Everything is more exciting and new. But then life happens. You get a bad night of sleep. Your kids get sick. Work gets stressful. You miss a workout. Then the plan starts to fall apart. Then comes the guilt, the judgment, and the familiar phrase, "I'll get back to it next week." Next week often turns into next month or next year. People find themselves stuck in the same cycle of trying to do more, failing, judging themselves, and then starting over. How many times have you started over a program? It'll be better next time. I'll do it when I have more time. The reason this fails is because it starts in the wrong place. It starts with doing. We do not need to do more. Change starts with identity. That's why the last video was all about identity. Who you believe yourself to be determines what actions feel natural. This is where the concept be, do, have come in. Instead of focusing on what you need to do first, you start by asking, who do I need to become? That's the be identity. Your identity is the story you believe about yourself. It's shaped by your past experiences, your beliefs, and the narratives that you've repeated to yourself over time. Maybe somewhere along the way you've decided you're bad at sticking with things. You've struggled with your weight your whole life. You're just not athletic. When those beliefs exist, every goal that you pursue gets filtered through that identity. Do you see why every time you set a goal, you might not actually get there? It's because you're still identifying with maybe the version of you that was created over 30 years of your life that created all of these habits, patterns, belief, thoughts, and actions. So even when you start a new program or a new routine, you're still carrying the same internal story about who you are, which makes change incredibly difficult. So the shift that needs to happen is, instead of asking, what do I need to do to get the result? You need to start by asking, who is the type of person that already has the result that I want? If someone is strong and disciplined and consistent, who are they being? How do they think? How do they approach challenges? What standards do they hold themselves to? What do they wear? How do they dress? What does their life look like? Once you identify the type of person that you want to become, that's the be. Once identity is clear, the actions become much easier because you're no longer forcing yourself to do things. It doesn't become about the things that you do. You're simply just aligning, right? You're simply acting in alignment with the person that you've already decided to become. That's why change is hard, because you have to become somebody before you're actually that person. You have to be able to see, taste, feel, experience what that person would experience before you've been there. If you've never been there, it can be really hard, but you have to go there before you think about the do, right? If you see yourself as someone who prioritizes their health, because you're embodying that version of yourself, you make different choices. If you see yourself as an athlete, you treat recovery and training differently. If you treat yourself as someone who follows through, consistency is just who you are. Your actions start reflecting who you believe yourself to be. Now we get to the have. This is what we all want. We want to have the results. When identity drives action consistently, the outcome is easy. The outcomes follow. You have the strength, you have the health, you have your goal weight, you have the financial money that you want, you have the performance. Not because you chased the result directly by doing more, it's because you became the type of person whose actions naturally created it. Be, do, have is more than a mindset exercise. It's a way of just taking ownership. This is about radical responsibility inside of the Built Through Movement program. It's a way of taking ownership of your story. When you do that, you take ownership of your life. Instead of repeating the same patterns, you get to consciously decide who are you becoming versus your previous identity dictating who you become. Once that identity shifts, your actions follow. And when your actions align with who you're becoming, the results take care of themselves. And I'm going to end this on saying this is why your community and your environment is everything. Because if you're constantly in an environment of other people who don't believe things are possible for them, or they believe this is just the way it is, or it's old age or genetics, then they're reinforcing the identity that you have. By putting yourself in rooms of people who have what you want, they become expanders for you and showing you what's possible in your own life. So if you struggle with identity and taking ownership of your story and actually changing the actions that you need to take to get you to where you want to go, then I encourage you to be in rooms of people who already have what you want because they'll show you exactly what you need to do to be that type of person. You don't have to come up with it. There'll be real life examples. Those are called expanders. It's also why, in this program, community is such a big thing because there are other people going through the same thing as you, right? Put yourself in those rooms, set boundaries for people that don't align with where you want to go because they're not going there. You are, okay? So again, we talked about identity, and the Be Do Have framework. There's not much education left. We've gone through so much. As always, there will be some more education with this topic and then a reflection prompt. I'd love to know what comes up for you. Let me know your thoughts. It's super important to me. It's why I do what I do. I've worked on identity and reshaping that forever, especially as a mom. Um, who I was is not who I am anymore. And I'm sitting here pregnant recording these videos. There will be a new version of me again. But the really fun thing about life is that we get to decide that. Life doesn't decide for us, we choose our identity. And that's the power that you get to walk with today. So let me know what comes up for you, and I can't wait to see you in the next video.